Hello and welcome to another human podcast. Today we have Keith Doan, Angela Caffrey, Malcolm Owen and Alex Bernays, all exploring the fascinating topic of goblins. The first question we have is, can you have goblins as NPCs, and have you ever used them that way?
I remember once we were playing a game and Keith had a NPC character, Maker, who was a goblin. And he'd been around in our party for, months. And he had this, he loved gravy, like he had this special little voice. Can you do the voice, Keith? I can't remember.
I want to have some gravy.
Gravy, yeah, he loved gravy. He was king of the goblins. Anyway, we were adventuring with him for months and months and months, and we started to trust him, and then we left him on watch one night. We woke up, and he was dead. We were like devastated. Maker gone. So
it would have been worse if he cut all your throats.
No, we trusted Maker, sort
of.
You
trusted Maker.
Yeah, well, if he gave him gravy, he was pretty happy. I think he had fallen on hard times, and he was easily bribed with a jug of gravy.
I remember when I first started playing, like officially, Mal was actually DMing. It's I don't know what we're doing exactly. There's something involving ghouls and stuff, and we're trying to figure out what was happening. And I was actually getting really scared by it. Like, I was having trouble sleeping because I would have been like 12 or something.
You gave him nightmares.
All right.
Maybe we started him too young.
All right. No, that would have been the
Is ghouls or goblins or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, that would have been the ones. With, I had the goblins that were being brought up to think they were gnomes.
Was that ones that you had were intelligent goblins who actually fought correctly?
Hey?
You know how...
No. So basically there was this gnome wizard that decided that goblins aren't born evil, and if goblins were raised the right, they'd just be like anyone. So he brought all these goblins up thinking they were gnomes. So he brought them up. So there was this whole underground complex full of goblins who all thought they were gnomes, and the wizard had died, and this was years later, and they basically worshipped the statue of this wizard.
That's interesting, because currently there's a big argument in Dungeons and Dragons about goblins. Should they be basically, they're portrayed as evil? That shouldn't be the case, things like that, and they've been rewriting how goblins are like. Now, years ago, like you were just mentioning Maker and goblins. We were doing that. It's not.
To us, they weren't.
You don't have.
I think that's the difference between storytelling and fighting.
Yeah.
Because the other races
just fight them.
Yeah, always had a backstory, like what was going on. Like Maker actually was king of the goblins, wasn't he? We didn't believe him. We just thought he was beating himself up.
And
yeah,
he wasn't.
But
he was very convincing.
That's the rest of his band had died. We may have had something to do with it. I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah,
he was introduced in Ashfold. He was just a wandering goblin.
Oh yeah. And I think if you play Ashfold, that's
there.
The character. He likes a lot of gravy, and he does believe he's king of the goblins. But we gave them whole personalities. And at the moment, we're playing in Crownless Lands, which is full of goblins and orcs and things
Snivellins.
like that. And Snivellins. And we've actually given them whole histories of, how they got to be the way they are.
So I believe that the current D&D should just leave goblins and orcs as they are, generic, warlike race. But GMs can do things with that and change things. But, you've got to have things in your monster manual that are just things to fight. And that's what they just left as. But you can change that as goblins who talk to... Because in Eldoria, in Crownless Lands that Angela's talking about, that's humans that live near goblins all the time. So they've come to know some of the goblins, and there's a bit of trade and things like that. Where in most worlds, and like in most of Eldoria, goblins in the past have just been races...
They're like senseless monsters.
Senseless monsters attacking them. And gradually... these humans and goblins in Crownless Lands has come to respect each other to a degree, but there's still orcs and goblins elsewhere in the Crownless Lands, deep in them, who just want to kill people.
But there's all a reason for
yeah.
it. Like amongst their own society. They have a society that we've developed, and they have wants and needs. But it's just, if you're a human and you interact with them, it might not come well. But if you're playing a goblin, an orc or something,
But for thousands of years in Eldora, you know, goblins and orcs have been attacking the elves, and that's impacted on the humans and things like that. So there's been thousands of years of warfare. You can change that in your game, right, with individual goblins. But overall, they're supposed to be just, well, in my world, they're a warlike race. That, you know,
But
that's the Transkillians are warlike.
Thanks for listening to this podcast about goblins and the problem with goblins. I don't know whether there is a problem or not. What do you think? My intention is very shortly to put out a video about goblins in Eldora with a bit of the lore and some cute AI graphics that I've just found. So thanks for listening. See you next time. We'd love to get a like or a comment below to see what you do with your goblins. Bye.